My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada, and I go live on, well, all sorts of social media platforms. Why? Because I want to answer your traffic and police questions, and I do that because we love you. That's the thing. So we're in Toronto. The weather today is a good question. I have no idea because I have no windows in my office, but I'm hoping it's wonderful. I'm hoping that you're having a great day. We will discuss stuff and things, but most importantly, answer your traffic and police questions. How do you ask questions? Well, if you're on Instagram, you can use the Q&A feature. I'd say you could use the Q&A feature on TikTok, but they broke it. So we are not able to do I just hit the button for their Q&A that is working, and it says, what do you look for in a best friend? I think that's what it was. Yeah, that's not the kind of questions we answer here. We are talking about what matters to you, and that's traffic law, traffic safety, and police stuff. If you are watching on our other platforms, now what platforms might those be? YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. You can ask us questions. Well, actually, Twitter you can't because Restream's not working with Twitter right now. Something with that whole connection. Yes, not working. It was a misfire. Andrew says, hey, Sean, he's coming in from LinkedIn. Good morning, Andrew. Hope you're doing well. Tracy Bell says, morning, Sean. It's steamy out there today. No kidding. So apparently it is warm. It's a bit of a sauna out there. Today, Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They're out there. What is the Vision Zero Enforcement Team? They are a group of individuals, a group of officers who care about your safety. Yes, they do. So much so that they are dedicated to issuing tickets, not hugs, for drivers who choose to engage in those behaviors that lead to serious injury and death on our roads. The behaviors like speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and of course, impaired driving. If you're out in the city and you want to see them, I'll tell you where they are. They are currently in 23 Division and 33 Division, making a difference. Now, those divisions service neighborhoods like Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Parkwood, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills. Those are some of the neighborhoods that they'll be hanging out in. I say hanging out. They'll be going to be setting those pens on fire by scribbling. Not because they want to give tickets, but because they want to change behavior to make the road safer for everybody, protecting those vulnerable road users and such. Let's see here. We have a good morning from Judico. Oh, I want to hit a button here. Let me just switch my view so that we can see what's... Oh, I pressed the wrong button. That's not what I want. Okay, hang on one second. Things that I want to make sure work before I hit the button. There we go. I'm going to pull up the questions and answers on a second screen so that I can best... Well, that's not what I want. Okay, hang on a second here. I have to type TikTok into my brews. There we go, TikTok. Okay, here we're going. By the way, if you are interested in winning a Harley Davidson, that's something I can direct you to do better. You can buy tickets at harleyraffle.ca. Yes. Why am I promoting harleyraffle.ca? Because we are supporting Special Olympics Ontario, and money raised from selling tickets to win this Harley goes to Special Olympics Ontario. In fact, they're the ones facilitating it. We're just promoting it. harleyraffle.ca. It's one ticket for 20, 3 for 50, and if you go there, you can buy those tickets, and you might win. I know who won last year. Actually, I know who won the years before, but I actually know, close to the person who won last year, and they are really enjoying their motorcycle. Would you like to enjoy a motorcycle? You got to buy a ticket to find out what that feels like. Well, of course, no guarantees that you'll win, but certainly you have a better chance of winning if you buy a ticket than if you don't. Okay, enough about tickets. Would you like to become a member of the Toronto Police Service? It worked for me. You can go to www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers for more information about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service. Everything there is to know about that is there. And, of course, be connected to a recruiting officer. What is this? What does your horn have to sound like? Are there any regulations? Has to sound... No, I can't say that. It has to sound like a horn. At the end of the day, it can't be a siren. Now, there's no specific tone that I'm aware of that is regulated. It just can't be a siren. Sirens are regulated. Okay, let's see here. Is it illegal to drive with your dog in the front passenger seat when they have a seatbelt on? I've never seen a dog with a seatbelt on. That may not be good for dogs, but tethers would work. We don't suggest front seat for animals. We suggest back seat with a tether or in a crate. That would be the safest place for an animal to be. They cannot be interfering with you as the driver. That could be careless driving or drive while crowded. If they were on your lap, for instance, if they were interfering with your ability to safely operate your vehicle, that's a problem. But front seat isn't against the law, it's just not so good. Airbags tend to do very bad things to animals, and we want your pooch or feline to be safe. What are the laws around electric skateboards in Toronto? They're not supposed to be on the road. They are, to some degree, motor vehicles. They're in a strange space, but you're not allowed to have e-kick scooters at all in the city. Electric skateboards are, I'd say, in the same boat. They shouldn't be on sidewalks or on our roads. You could find yourself in problems. What you really could find yourself in is really injured. Doing 40 kilometers an hour on or 40 miles per hour for some of the ones that I've seen, not safe. It's spotty on regulation. The stuff that is specifically outlined, those one wheels or mono wheels, some of the electric unicycles, like those are absolutely prohibited. I saw a video not too long ago of a recent collision where I was going to say that the legs don't bend the way that I saw legs bend in this video, and I doubt that person's going to do any gymnastics afterwards. They just don't have. They're not safe. They're not safe. That's the end. There's some bylaws about prohibited vehicles from the City of Toronto, regardless of whether they're Highway Traffic Act offenses or not. There are charges that could be laid. What is this? I saw a few cars with blue and green headlights. I thought they were illegal. They are. Blue and green headlights are illegal. You're only permitted to have white or yellow. That is that. That is it. That is all. Big Jeff Fresh coming in from YouTube this morning. Good morning, Big Jeff Fresh. And Akela Draconis coming from YouTube. Greetings and salutations. Happy first few hours of summer. Is today officially summer? Is this the day of days, the first day, the longest day? I haven't been paying attention. I forgot to hydrate. Hang on a second here. As I forgot to fill up my water mug, I will yell I gotta move this closer. I feel guilty walking away from a camera to get water, but I do need that water. As one of my favorite creators says, I must hydrate before I educate. Yes, much better with water. Are tinted taillights illegal? We talked about this yesterday too. Tinted headlights and taillights have a very specific purpose. They announce to the world what your intentions are when you're slowing down or signaling or that you're in front of them in general. Headlights illuminate your path, and they also allow other vehicles to see you coming. And when you modify them in such a way that they don't work as intended, they're not discernible at a certain distance, then they're illegal. Modifications, now if you talk to Sergeant Campbell, he'll say they're just, first of all, tinting your headlights is prohibited. There's a specific charge that says you cannot, shall not, will not tint those headlights. Taillights doesn't say it that way, but they have to be discernible, I believe, at 150 meters. And here's the funny thing. In the event that you are involved in a collision and the investigators, police, or insurance look at your taillights, they see that you modified them to make your vehicle less safe, you're going to have problems getting that claim approved. Okay. What's the worst offense for letting someone with a G1 drive my car when I've only had my G for 1 year? You're not so it depends. How long did you have your G2 for? Because if you're a G and you've had 4 years experience and 3 years was as a G2 and 1 year was as a G, you might be qualified. Look for the dots, 4 vertical dots arranged to the left of your mini-me photo in the bottom right-hand corner of your photo. If that's there, then you are authorized and capable of supervising a G1. If you are not, what's the worst that could happen? Well, you can be, if you're the owner of the vehicle and you permitted them to drive, you can be charged for permitting an unlicensed or a person without, it's a violation of conditions. So you're basically permitting an unlicensed driver to drive. They would be charged for driving unaccompanied because they're not with a qualified G. If you were in a collision, your vehicle would not be covered by insurance because they're not a licensed driver. What else could happen? They would get a 30-day license suspension. It's a bad day at the office. Don't supervise a G1 driver if you're not properly supervised material. Yeah, if you're not a qualified G. I had to get my thoughts in order for there. All right, what do we have here? Okay, curiosity. Can you make a left-hand turn on a red light onto a one-way street? Yes, in one condition, as long as there's one specific requirement. So in the event that you are on a one-way street approaching another one-way street, then yes, you can make a left-hand turn on a red light after you make a complete stop, and it's safe to do so, assuming there is no sign preventing you from doing that. So that is the one time or one thing in Ontario where you can do it. If it was a two-way street to a one-way, you can't do it. If it was a one-way to a two-way, you can't do it. That's the only time you make a left on a red. What is this? Is it true that police can't chase motorcycles once the helmet is removed? I've never heard anything like that, but there's no rule about preventing us from chasing motorcycles. There are conditions that we will choose to engage or not engage, and really there's a threshold for why we would chase somebody. And it's about risk to the rider or to the other driver, because it's not just about chasing motorcycles, it's about chasing anyone. It's all about risk-reward. What are the risks? Why are we chasing them? Is it because they ran a stop sign? Are we going to get someone killed for that? Are we going to have public safety issues? When we could just write down their license plate and meet them at their house and charge them later? There's a lot of things to consider, and every situation is unique and unto itself, but there's no blanket yes or no statement. Everything is evaluated, and public safety is always on our mind. Okay. Cop told me, what is this? A cop told me clear non-tinted license plate cover is illegal. That is true. Plate covers of any kind, you are not allowed to obstruct your license plate in any way, shape, or form. Now, are we running out to look for every clear license plate cover we see? No, that's not the case. That's not the goal. The goal is to ensure that we can see plates. The problem is that technically it's illegal. And listen, you could be charged for it. I'm not giving you permission to do it, just that that's not the focus. If I can't read your plate, it becomes the focus. And plate covers tend to prevent or obscure the license plate. And while it is illegal, yeah. Okay, is buying radar guns legal? There are commercially available or home use radar guns that are legal for use. They're for sports, for baseball and whatnot. It's not illegal to have them. Start pointing them at people, that might be a problem, because actually, I don't even know if that's a problem for radar guns. I wouldn't want to put that in your lap, though. We had police officers back in the day who sued because they had lost their ability to reproduce based on the radar guns radaring themselves. They were leaving their radar gun on in their lap while in between while writing their evidence. What is this? What is the youngest age in Ontario you can receive your learner's permit, and what fully is the learner's permit? Okay, two-part question. You have to be 16 years old to apply for a learner's permit, and actually, even if you are a member of if you live in a province that allows you to start driving at 14, which is a thing, if you came to Ontario, you wouldn't be able to drive here at 14. You'd have to be 16. So if you're coming from another country that allows you to drive below the age of 16, even if you're fully licensed there, you are not licensed here. You would not be honored as a licensed driver in Ontario unless you're at least 16 years old. Learner's permits in general, G1 is one where you have to be accompanied by a qualified G driver, and G2 is a probationary license where you can drive alone. There are some conditions, but you basically have a full license that if you don't complete your training and your testing, you would lose. Okay. Penalty for driving with a suspended license. Well, you can be charged for driving with a suspended license on conviction. What is the whole deal, the full deal? I can't remember what the conviction, what they can give you as a consequence. I don't remember what that does, but I imagine it's not good. It is no set fine, so it's up to the court. But I don't remember what the maximum and minimum are. And unfortunately, I'm currently using my phone that I have my cheat sheets on, where I can do fuzzy searches and look for all the charges. My secret weapon is currently being used to stream on Instagram Live. So you can blame the people on Instagram for why you don't get the answer to that question. I should be able to look at it much easier, but I can't. Okay. Do you ever go on patrol, or are you only on TikTok? Well, I'm not only on TikTok. I'm also in my office and on training videos and typing into email. But I am not on the road. I was injured in a motorcycle collision, and I have yet to be cleared to go back on the road. And that's how I ended up being here to talk to y'all. But no, I occasionally go out on the road, but not on patrol. I do some things with other officers and document those things for training purposes. Not my training, but to create training content. And who knows, one day I might be on the road. I might be able to give somebody a ticket again, which is something I oddly enough miss. I think there's a lot of value in issuing tickets. I know not everybody likes getting them, but I like making positive change and changing driver behavior through even things like issuing tickets. I think is a good thing. Can you pass on a hard yellow line? Hard yellow, soft yellow, I don't know. Solid yellow? Yellow lines, white lines, they are suggestions. They are things to tell you what is safe and not safe. They should guide your way. But if you were to cross that line, there is no charge in Ontario for that. Now, other provinces, they might have charges for those, and many of them do. As well as the United States, they may charge for it. But in Ontario, it's not against the law to cross the line, unless there's a sign that says don't cross the line, because the sign in Ontario would have authority. It would be a regulated sign, and it would prevent you from doing that. If you broke the rules on the sign, then you could be charged for failing to or disobeying sign. Is it illegal to practice driving in a parking lot before I get my license? Do you have your learner's permit, or are you talking about practice driving with nothing? Here's the deal. Drive no license is a charge that does not apply, cannot be laid on private property. So you'd be responsible for a collision you caused, but I couldn't, as a police officer, charge you for driving without a license. Now, if you were stunt driving without a license in a private property lot, then I could charge you. So it depends. So is it illegal? I can't charge you. It's not advisable, and the insurance wouldn't cover you. Can you become a police officer without post-secondary? The minimum requirements are that of a high school diploma. You have to have graduated from high school, grade 12, I believe. I don't even know if you need grade 13 anymore, but I think it's just Ontario Secondary School Diploma, OSSD. Now, it's a competitive process, so you may not be able to be hired if the talent pool applying at the time that you are applying is better than you. But I would strongly urge that you do contact our folks at recruiting and make every effort to become a member of the Toronto Police Service if you're interested. www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers for more information and information on how to contact our fun folks at employment. They were on an episode 6 of TPS Traffic Jam, our podcast. Check out that podcast. You can watch it on YouTube with video, or you can just listen to it while you're driving safely in your motor vehicle. Anywhere podcasts are available, TPS Traffic Jam. Yeah, that's the name of it. I have to think about it for a second. So many different acronyms and names and hashtags. Oh, my goodness. What do we want to talk about here? We've got... What are tinted banners? Why are tinted banners illegal? Majority of them are legitimate tint, so you can see through them. So if you're talking about the sun strip on the front of a windshield, you're not allowed to have anything on the front windshield, banner or otherwise. If your vehicle was manufactured before the law came into effect, which was January 1st, 2017, so if it's manufactured before that, you can have a tinted banner, which is from the top of the windshield, 3 inches, 75 millimeters, or to the PS1 line, whatever happens first. And why aren't they permitted? I couldn't give you the whys because I don't know. I don't know if there was something that happened that caused a collision or what have you. I don't know if it's because there's sensors, although some people have said sensors live beneath there that are required and could interfere with the functioning of your. I don't know. I don't know. It may be something to do with that radar business with what is it, the new cruise control, that adaptive speed control. Yeah. But I don't actually know. This is just stuff people have told me. At the end of the day, it's the law, and that's a good enough reason to follow it. As long as the law is just, and I'm not going to take a stand on tinted visor cover window things. Yeah. Okay. Can I have my cat loose while driving? He goes nuts if I put him in a carrier, and that's distracting. Can you? Yes. If he goes nuts and it's gets involved and prevents you from safely operating your vehicle, you could be charged with careless. Or if your cat becomes you become a scratching post, you could be drive while crowded or eligible for a charge of that. And something to think about, as much as you don't want to annoy your cat, maybe leaving your cat at home is better. But if you take your cat with you and they are just crawling around the car, in the event of a collision, they would become a projectile within your vehicle and could ultimately become very injured. Also, even if they're not injured in the collision itself, maybe you're unable to control them after a collision and the window gets broken and they run out to the highway and get squished, and that would be bad. Okay. Can I call the OPP on a lady screaming at people and walking in the middle of the street? Yeah, that's a pretty good reason to call someone. If someone is doing something that puts them or others in harm's way, that's, to me, an emergency. That might be somebody who's going through a crisis and needs police intervention, needs help. So definitely calling police is a good thing, regardless if it's OPP or otherwise. Alex says, good morning. Is motorcycle lane splitting illegal? If so, what are the charges against the lane splitter? Lane splitting is when you are driving between two lanes at speed, and it is against the law. Careless driving is likely the best charge for it. It's an unsafe practice. At one point, there was a discussion about bringing filtering into Ontario. As far as I know, that hasn't happened. Okay, one of the roads on my drive to work, people passing on the oncoming side happens a lot. They have recently adjusted speeds and added signage for no passing. Sign has 2 cars side by side, and there's a no circle. Well, that is definitely a hint that people shouldn't be passing, and if they're not getting a disobey sign, would definitely be the appropriate charge for that. Could also be, what else could it be? Unsafe maneuver? Maybe, possibly, depends. Good morning, Mike. Oh, what's happening? Ryan Pinn, good morning. Ryan Pinn is a driving instructor in Nova Scotia who visits our live on a regular basis. So thank you for coming in to say hello. He apologizes for being late to the live because he got caught up watching someone power wash someone's walkway and concrete stairs. Dad mode. Awesome. Okay. What is this? If your driver is injured and you have a G1, would you be able to drive them to the hospital? If your driver is supervising you actively because they're not unconscious and they're licensed and they're not inebriated because they have to have a blood alcohol content under 0.05 to supervise you, then it could. I mean, ultimately, the idea is if you are in a stressful situation, if you are not a qualified driver, if your qualified driver isn't able to properly supervise you, call an ambulance. That's what they're there for. Yes, it costs money. Yes, it is a process other than, the simple thing of driving. But here's the deal. As a G1, you may not possess enough experience to deal with the increased stress load of someone who's experiencing an emergency medical situation. So I would suggest you don't drive. I would suggest that you call an ambulance. Apparently, there's a lot of spam, and I don't know why. Today is spam day in the world of TikTok, where people are coming on to cause disruption. So know that we are not here to deal with your spam. We're not reading your spam. All you're doing is making a negative experience for the people watching. I'm not reading your stuff, so I'm ignoring you. So don't do it. Okay, but it's for everybody else. Have you been to any other departments or just the Toronto Police? Been to or worked for? So I've been a member of the Toronto Police Service for over 20 years. I started in 2000 as an auxiliary officer. I volunteered as a member of the auxiliary police, which is, again, a uniformed civilian who volunteers their time to perform certain functions of policing. It's a lot of fun, and if you're ever looking for a really exciting and fantastic opportunity to give back to your community, that would be one to do it, regardless of what police service you volunteer for. Auxiliary rocks. Now, if you choose to then I became a court officer. Which questions am I answering? I became a court officer. So simultaneously, while working as a volunteer with the auxiliary, I became a court officer and did that for a number of years, quite a number, and then finally transferred to police constable. So I've had multiple positions within the service, but I've only ever worked for the Toronto Police Service, and I love it here. You could love it here too. If you're interested in becoming a member of the police service, whether it be auxiliary, special constable, parking enforcement, or as a police officer, consider checking out www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. Lots of information there. Okay. What is this? Is it illegal to drive on a flat? On a flat what? I don't know. Oh, a flat tire. I assume you're talking about flat tire. It would be unsafe for you to drive on a flat tire, so I would say yes, it's illegal because it's unsafe. Don't drive on a flat. Pull over. Also, if you drive on a flat, you're going to damage your wheel and you're going to increase the cost of repair. Don't drive on a flat. Bad idea. Change your tire. Put a spare on. Call the motor league. Hey, are you a member of a motor league? Are you a member of a roadside assistance plan? They are fantastic. I've been a member of one since, my family's had the membership since before I was born. So, and my grandparents before them. Like, it's just a thing that we've always done, and it comes in handy. I recently came back from Florida, and the battery in my truck was dead, and I said, "Oh, that's no problem. I've got a booster pack in the trunk, but I have an electronic trunk release, and I couldn't actually get." Yeah, I was stuck. So I had to call the motor league, and they came and boosted my car, and I was able to drive home. And it just cost me nothing because I already paid for the membership. So there's lots of different places you can go and lots of different memberships you can have, and I'm not endorsing any one over another. However, consider doing that. That's one of the best investments that you can make. Sean Chen, good morning. Good to see you. John, oh, hey, John, how you doing? John is joining me at 12:30. We're doing an episode of TPS Traffic Jam, and John has an amazing story that I look forward to sharing with you when we release the podcast. And that's we're going to record it today. We're going to release it on another day, but it's going to be awesome, and you should check it out. Okay. Nerd GFX says, could I get a ticket if one side of my blinkers aren't working, but I'm using the proper hand-arm signals, like arm straight out for left, arm up for right? Yes, if it's daytime, Nerd GFX, you can actually use hand signals in your vehicle. Now, obviously, if you have functioning signals, use your functioning signals. If not, you definitely can use your hand signals. Now, interesting note, if you have a right-hand drive car and you don't have signals that work, you actually have to have a placard on the back of your vehicle to say it's a right-hand drive car, so they know what side to look for the window, where to look for the arms that are waving with their signals. But yes, you could legally signal with your hands, and that's actually good. I wonder how many people actually know what the hand signals are, because I think there's a good number of people who have no idea what those are. They didn't know what they were for cyclists. They didn't know what they were for drivers. Good things to know, and you're very welcome. I can see all the chat coming in from YouTube and Twitch. It comes in a nice orderly fashion here on Restream. Makes my life a lot easier. Okay, and Q&A. This is me just digging at the fact that Q&A is broken on TikTok. Not that I have hard feelings about it. I'm really annoyed by it is what I am. I want them to fix it. I want them to fix it now. Okay. The coolest thing about having functioning Q&A on TikTok is I get to press a button and the question comes up on screen. You can see and acknowledge what I'm looking at. Anyway, are there any height and eye requirements to become a police officer? So last I looked, and actually I guarantee you there are no height requirements. There were once upon a time in the dark ages, but that is no longer the case. It would have helped me out because I'm 6'5", so I would have definitely qualified just on that. I would have got bonus points for being a big guy. But now height is not a requirement. That is just not a thing. Vision requirements, there are vision requirements. You have to have 20/40 uncorrected binocular vision in order to apply for the police service. I did not originally have that. I got laser surgery and was glasses free for like a decade. And now I'm old. And now I need reading glasses. Okay. Scott has a great story about hand signals. I got to talk. I was listening to Scott. Scott Marshall is who I'm talking about. He is the Safe Driver. He's a podcaster and actually he's a former judge on Canada's Worst Driver. And he is a friend of mine. He used to regularly guest on my daily show, which came on right after my live stream, which is now a podcast instead of a daily show. And we're looking forward to having him back again when his life is less busy. By the way, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and I go live on TikTok and a whole bunch of other social media platforms answering your traffic and police questions. I do it Monday to Friday from 10 to 11. And if you've got questions, please let me know what they are. We'd love to answer your questions. That's what we do here. You can also use the Q&A function. Now, not the Q&A function on TikTok, which is broken right now in our live, but the Q&A function in our main page, which allows us to then make a video response to your question. You can also DM us. I get to them eventually. This weekend, I think I answered 100 questions on the DM. But that it's a little slower than being live, but hey, if you don't get your question on the live, keep asking. Not repeatedly in spam format, but, ask us in other ways. Let's see here. Can you ask for a passenger's identification when doing a traffic stop? Yes, under certain circumstances. So if I pull you over for speeding and there's nothing else going on, I would not ask your passenger for their identification because there's no reason to. There's no justification to, and there's no authority to. However, I can have a conversation with them. Hey, how you doing? That's different. If they're not wearing their seatbelt or if they're involved in any criminal activity or violating the Highway Traffic Act in any way, then I can ask them for their identification, and they are obligated to identify themselves. Now, under the HTA, if they don't identify themselves, they would be arrested or could be arrested. Very good. Okay. Change in dimensions of windshields and angling for the newer models. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the question is. I'm reading it again. I still don't know what the question is. Okay. Can the MTO pull you over for speeding in a non-commercial motor vehicle? I would have told you no before, but I understand that the laws have changed and the MTO authorities now allow them to deal with commercial and non-commercial vehicles. I have to do some more research. Actually, I want to have them on the podcast to discuss their new expanded authorities, but I understand they can now. If you see red lights, pull over. Not pulling over would potentially be a bad thing. Okay. Do you have to move over on a divided road if an emergency vehicle approaches on the other side? Divided is where there is a physical barrier, and whether that be a grassy knoll or a curb set up, that is a divided highway, and no, you do not need to pull over for oncoming emergency vehicles, police. You don't have to stop for school buses that are on the other side of a divided highway. If it is an undivided highway, only separated by a painted line, you would need to pull over to the nearest curb and stop. Okay, what do we got here? Hey, if you're new to the channel, if you don't know who I am, and you like what you see, not because I shaved just nicely, but I mean if you like the content, if you like learning about new things, police, traffic law, traffic safety, that sort of stuff, talking about cars, trucks, motorcycles, all that jazz, follow us. We'd love to have you as a follower. Someone followed us. I actually have a counter. I've got a big, I wish I could show you. I have a giant live billboard running on a third screen here. So I can see we're currently at 573,900. Whoo, a whole bunch of people just went in. 573,965. That's more people popped in. This is so cool. Can I show you? Hang on a second. Can I do it? Is it going to work? No, I'm going to mess things up. I can't take it out of its mount. Otherwise, I'm going to lose all my screens, and that would be bad. But I want to. I'm going to have to set it up on a small screen. Anyway, there's a cool channel. It's called Live Count. What's it called? Livecounts.io. You can punch in your channel and just watch the ticker go. So things I didn't know. We have 3,333,942 likes. We have 680 videos. That's pretty cool. And that just reminded me that I didn't actually publish the video that I planned on publishing yesterday or today. And I'm going to do that right after this live. We have a fantastic video. I was going to publish it yesterday, and I noticed there was a little editing blip that didn't work properly, so I'm going to republish it. Or I re-edited it this morning. It looks awesome, and I'm going to put it up right after the live. That's a great idea. Gregory Flynn says, set it up on the TV in the background. Done. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to get I'm going to set up the Apple TV and stream it to those TVs. That's what we're going to use. Those TVs, you're good, you. Okay. Mahmoud Alam says, what can we do not to get our catalytic converter stolen? Very good question. I don't have all the answers, but I do have some suggestions that I've heard. One is park it in a place that's safe. I know that's a horrible answer, but well-lit areas or in a garage, that's the best place. I've heard so many stories of people who take the train, who come back to a vehicle that sounds different because someone has gotten under their vehicle and cut it out. There are people who weld cages over that. That's so extreme, and it doesn't prevent everything. It does, however, make it more difficult to take. And yeah. I don't know what else they can. There's probably a list of googly goo stuff we could search, but at the end of the day, if it gets stolen, it's got some high value metals inside of it, and people do steal them on a regular basis, and they're probably hard to get replacements for. So if you find yourself to be the victim of a crime where people have stolen your catalytic converter, make a report, make the police report. You need to have that documented. And beyond that, anyone with suggestions in the chat, because the chat has lots of knowledge. If you're in the chat and you know some good tips about not getting your catalytic converter stolen, let me know, because I want to share it with everybody else. What is this? Landscaper causing a distraction to vehicle, any liability. Distraction? What do you mean? Let me know. I don't know what that question means. I'm not sure about what the landscaper, like we're talking about someone who's cutting the grass, is distracting vehicles? Not sure. Advice for someone who's terrified of driving. If you're really terrified, if you are panic-stricken about driving, don't drive. That's the answer. Because if you put yourself in a situation where you are terrified, stress does not make for good, safe driving. There are fantastic driving instructors who focus and specialize on people who have high stress related to driving, and they might be able to help you over your fear. But just because you do it doesn't make you, just because you force yourself through it, doesn't necessarily make you a better driver. You have to deal with that fear. And you know what? You can do it. I believe in you. I know many people who were scared, and through repetition, through realizing that they really can do it, and it's not that it's not as unsafe or it's not as stressful as they once thought it was. Through practice, just get a good instructor. That's a first part. But if truly terrified, like completely lock up, white knuckling it, don't drive. Don't force yourself to do something that scares you. You don't need the stress in your life. There are other ways to travel, and driving's expensive. I don't know if you noticed. Are there any requirements? No, we talked about that. That's a repeat question. This is a great question. I need water before I answer. And a cough. Okay. Is citizens' arrest a real thing? It is. There is if you really have to cough. Excuse me. Apparently, speaking for an hour, it takes its toll. So you can actually make an arrest, but there are a lot of conditions as a citizen. So it has to be an indictable offense. It has to be fines committing, which means you need to actually witness it happening, not someone told you it was happened or that it recently happened. There are other things like you can assist someone in who has the lawful authority to arrest. You can assist them in making the arrest that they are lawfully permitted to make. The problem is if you don't know what you're doing, you might end up, more likely than not, you're going to get injured. But you could end up being sued if you're arresting someone unlawfully. So it would be my suggestion to be a great witness and call the police. That would, unless. Listen, and by the way, people want to know, what is an indictable offense? Well, like murder, that's indictable. Shoplifting a chocolate bar, not indictable. But there's different conditions if it's your store, if you're a security guard, if it's your property. It's complicated. Not something that we can cover right now, but that's the thing. And it's a great question. We've had it before, but as an auxiliary officer, I operated and had to study up on citizens' arrest. because that's the only power I had. As a police officer, we have expanded police powers, or we have police powers as opposed to civilian powers. Okay, radar detection devices, like to detect radar. Detect radar. Are we talking about radar devices like speed measurement devices, or detectors to detect us, or detectors to detect detectors? That's a thing. So yeah, radar detectors in Ontario are absolutely prohibited. You can't sell them, can't possess them, can't use them. They can be manufactured here, but they have to be exported, and the only time they can legally be transported is when they are in their factory, case sealed, in transport to go outside of the province. It's illegal to sell them, to buy them. It's just they're all totally illegal. Now, not only radar detection devices, but speed jammers that project a speed other than what you are actually traveling to prevent police from measuring your speed. Yeah, that's the same category. $170 ticket, 2 demerit points, and we have search seizure authority, so we stop you based on the belief that you had it, and we could search you, the vehicle, and anyone in the vehicle looking for that based on the belief that you had it. Okay, I damaged my car in an unmarked construction section of a main road. What can I do, or am I just out? If you're talking about damaged road that is not marked, you're saying construction, but if it's just damage to the road, potholes, that sort of thing, there may be an avenue to the city or province. You'd have to look into it. I know City of Toronto for potholes does have a system that you can apply for if, document it if you can. If you have a dash cam, it's a great way to go. Obviously, don't go onto a highway and start taking pictures of the road. That's dangerous. And don't hang out your body out the window. You may have seen my Lambo video. Don't hang out the window. You're not wearing your seatbelt. It's unsafe. Okay. How often are cops required to go to the firing range? Does TPS have their own range? So it used to be that we had multiple ranges throughout the city, and I used to run the gun club for the 32 Division auxiliary, or it was for the auxiliary, but it was at 32 Division, so that was my thing. And we have now one range at our police college. It's a huge range, and we shoot annually for most officers. It's an annual requalification as part of our use of force training, and there are opportunities to shoot more frequently, and there are some units that shoot on a regular basis for training, like the emergency task force. But generally speaking, the average officer requalifies annually as per requirements. Okay, where can I turn myself in? I'm in Barrie, but have a warrant outside of Ontario. You can go in, well, here's two things. If you want to turn yourself in, contact your local police, and they can check the status of your warrant. If it's returnable here, if it's returnable to where you were arrested, they will make arrangements. If it's not, you may have to go back to the jurisdiction to deal with the issues. Or maybe contact a lawyer, and they can do some things for you and give you better direction. But generally speaking, go to any police station, and they can look you up. Can I pass the white lines on the HOV lanes? HOV. So the original conversation we had earlier in the show was talking about the fact that lines are not enforceable, but signs are. On HOV lanes on the highway, there are signs that says "Do not cross the hash mark line." The two lines with the hash mark beside it are diagonal line. So it is against the law to cross those, not based on the authority of the line, but the authority of the sign saying "Don't cross those lines." Okay. Sorry if this has been asked already. If I wrap my car in a different color, do I need to change my ownership? Yes, you do. You need to update the ownership for changing color. If you change your engine out to a different number of cylinders, because that happens every day. But you do. You have 6 days to make the change, same as if you had to change your address. Hey, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and, well, I go live on the internet answering your traffic and police questions. I do it Monday to Friday from 10 to 11. I'm glad you're here. If you don't already follow us, please do. We're currently at 573,987 followers, 986. Someone left. Someone unfollowed just now. I can't believe it. Wow. Okay, hang on one second. This is what I get for not filling up my water before. I'm just filling up half, so I had to interrupt. Oh, we're at 990, 991. People are following us. Awesome, thank you. It's really cool, this ticker thing that I found at livecounts.io. You punch in your account and you just watch the ticker go. It's very cool, very cool. Okay, and a suggestion was made by Gregory. I think it was Gregory. Yeah, it was Gregory. So we're going to change those screens to be watching that website, so you can actually see and click to see live the update of your click. Very cool. We'll try and get that ready for tomorrow, but it'll probably be by Friday. It depends on how busy it is. Okay. What can we do now? Okay, we talked about that, although I didn't have the best answer. Driving isn't for Oh, this is Ryan Pinn on the topic of nerves. Apparently I need a lozenge. My throat is bothering me today. It must have been the donuts. So I have to say thank you for the donuts. A friend of mine sent donuts to the station after I talked about raspberry-filled Krispy Kremes. It did help me break my diet, and I did have a couple of my favorite donuts yesterday. But now I'm back. I'm back on no carbs. Okay, Ryan Pinn says, driving isn't for everyone, but having your first driving experience be with a professional instructor. Start small. We won't make you do anything you're not ready for. If sometimes you don't know what you're capable of, we do, and you may be better than you think. Give us a call. I won't name us, but we might be the biggest. Way to not self-promote. But yes, a good driving instructor is really important. Help you get what you need in terms of getting comfortable and doing it the safest way. I can't imagine today learning how to drive without the assistance of an instructor. And relying on mom or dad, bad habits get passed down generationally. Not good. They may have be the best. I tried to teach my wife how to drive. Apparently, traffic cops create stress when they teach people how to drive. I don't teach anyone how to drive. I hope to be able to teach my kids how to drive, but I'm apprehensive about that. Maybe I'll just occasionally go driving with them, and then I will be the one who's nervous, and then let the driving instructor, the professional, do it. Just because I know about driving doesn't mean I'm the right person to teach driving. I accept that. I acknowledge that that's a thing. Okay, well, we talked about these things on Instagram's Q&A that works, while TikTok's doesn't. Yeah, okay. Do we have to signal in a roundabout? So here is the protocol. You signal your intention to leave. You don't signal when you go around a curve, so you don't signal the way in, but you should signal your change in direction, which is exiting. So yes, you signaled on the way out. And it's odd, but nobody knows this, which is why we talk about it on a regular basis. Let's see here. The 40-kilometer limit in a school zone, is that all day, all year round, or just during school hours? Well, if you're in Ontario and it's not signed otherwise, it's all the time. I can't speak to other areas, but my understanding and my experience has been that if it's signed to say 40, it's 40 all the time. If it says 40 Monday to Friday, then it's whatever the sign says. Most places are 40 all the time. I have heard of different jurisdictions in the States that say only during certain months, and then it reverts to 50, let's say. But in Ontario, especially in Toronto, it's going to be all the time. What do you think about people doing, wheelies on dirt bikes? I think it's pretty cool, but it's stunt driving unless you're in a place that permits that activity. So as of September 12, 2021, stunt driving became illegal everywhere, not just on the road. So intentionally taking a wheel off the road, loss of traction, or so even doing a burnout. Is it called a dirt out on a dirt bike, where you spin your tires? In any case, if you do it on a dirt bike on the road or on a parking lot, private property, it's illegal. Now, on a racetrack, that's exempt. So wheelies on racetracks, you can do them. Okay. What happens if someone gets caught driving with a G1 alone? That's driving unaccompanied. The charge is G1 drive unaccompanied. You have to be with a qualified G. That's someone with 4 years experience in a full G, and they have to be with less than 0.05 BAC and sitting in the front passenger seat. The consequences of being caught, aside from the $110 ticket for that violation, is you get a 30-day suspension on your first conviction, a 90-day on your second, and on your third, you get kicked out of the program. Additionally, the person who allowed you to drive that car is eligible for a charge of permitting an unlicensed driver or a person to drive in violation of their conditions, and the fact that if you're in a collision, you have no coverage for insurance. You are not an insured driver. They would deny your claim to replace your car. Big shock there. They would have a difficult time insuring someone who's not insured. Okay. Are there laws against how bright headlights can be? Yes, and I think it's 8,000 lumens, but I'm not 100% sure. In any case, you can't just make them burn people's retinas out. There is a maximum. And there's also a restriction on color. It can only be white or yellow, and some of the lights that are really, really bright come off as blue or purple, and those are not legal. My favorite question of all time. I have to prepare myself because I have to use this. How fast over the speed limit are you allowed to go? None, zero, zilch, nada, nil. Did I say nil twice? You can't speed. Speeding is illegal. There is no permissible exceeding the limit. No, 1 kilometer over is speeding. The amount of kilometers over the limit simply go to how much the fine is. Right? The more kilometers or miles over the limit, the more points and dollars you pay and lose. But it's not any less or more severe when it comes to the charge of speeding. Now, once you get to 40 kilometers over in a speed limit under 80 kilometers an hour, or 50 kilometers an hour over the speed limit in an area with an 80 kilometer an hour speed limit, that becomes stunt driving. And that's not good either. Okay. Is a GPS unit considered distracted driving? No. The distracted driving laws in Ontario are specific to handheld communication devices and handheld entertainment devices. So if you're using a cell phone, if you're using a video player, that's going to be distracted driving. There is an exemption allowing you to use a cell phone or entertainment device in GPS mode. However, you can't touch the screen, you can't program locations, you can't interact with it. You're only allowed to set it, forget it, and look at it. That's the permission. That is it. That is all. Hey, 574-006. We've gone up. So cool, this thing. I'm now addicted to watching the ticker. Yeah, it's cool. This is a ticker I'm talking about that actually gives me a live update as to how many people are following us. So if you are not following us, please do. We do this every day, Monday to Friday from 10 to 11, unless I have to stay homesick or something. See a man about a horse. Okay. Can you walk your dirt bike to a trail? So you can't ride a dirt bike in Ontario on the roads, but nothing says you can't push it. So I would say that you could walk your dirt bike in without the engine running. Mind you, I don't even know if that's going to be a thing, but still, you can't ride it. So you can push it. What is the difference between a Toronto police officer and a special constable? Well, I used to be a special constable, so I can tell you. I was a court officer, and we had the powers of special constable. They have a restricted amount of police powers, so not the full. They're somewhere in between civilian and or citizens arrests and police arrest or police powers, and they only have those while they're working or working in the capacity as. So essentially, when you when you check off your shift for the day, you're basically giving those up. Now there are conditions when they can do some certain things, but anyway. What's the other difference? The duties that we perform. So a police officer is 24 hours, 7 days a week, and we carry firearms and have the full police powers. Yeah, best way to describe it. And special constables do different things. They're not carrying firearms, and they won't go to priority calls. They do a lot of fantastic things, but the best thing to do is look at our employment office website, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers, to get all the information about the jobs, the roles, and maybe one of those is for you. If you're interested in applying, we are looking for police officers, and I believe they've posted or will be posting very shortly parking enforcement officers. Is it valid to show the insurance proof on our phone, or hard copy of pink slip is necessary? Well, you can't take a picture of your pink slip. That would not be lawful. But if your insurance company provides you with an electronic means by way of an app, then you could show that. That's now written into law. It's permitted. Hey, Kendra and Josh are watching. Hey, Kendra and Josh, welcome. That's Safe Communities. Our friends in Brooks, Alberta, the RCMP detachment. Josh is a police officer working there, and Kendra is a social worker working there. They've got great content they regularly produce on their channel. Check them out. Of course, if you're out of Ontario, and specifically in Alberta, they would be the ones to tell you about all the traffic stuff. They also have some other fine folks, some folks that do different things. They have paramedics that could jump on that channel, all sorts of great information, and hopefully we'll get them back. Hey, do they want to jump on the live today? Maybe we'll have them jump on the live today. That could be cool. If you want to jump on the live, invite me. Okay, what is this? What are the rules for underglow? There are no rules. Actually, the reason there's no rules is because underglow isn't a specific law. There's no law to deal with it. However, the use of it could violate other laws. For instance, if it's improperly installed and projecting light forward, backwards, or to the sides, that could violate rules like headlight laws that say you can't project anything other than white or yellow to the front. If it's just projecting truly to the ground, just glowing on the ground, underglow, then you're probably not going to run into any problems. However, I would avoid red, blue, or green lights. Those are prohibited light colors. Red for police, blue is snowplow, and now police as well, or emergency services, and green is for volunteer fire. Blinking or what's it, intermittent flashing red light is not permitted anywhere on your vehicle, and there's a specific charge for that in Ontario. How long will speeding tickets come off your record? How long till speeding tickets come off your record? So convictions will come off 3 years after the date of conviction, and there is a points situation. If you are awarded points, like you're winning something, you're not winning if you get points, but they stay on for 2 years from the date of the offense once a conviction is registered. What is the charge for vehicle vandalism? That's probably going to be mischief under the criminal code, but it's not a Highway Traffic Act situation. That is more serious than that. Sunshine says, you're doing a great job, though I lost respect for police. I'm sorry that you feel that way. What is this? Can you name the driving license class from A to Z? No. I'm going to use a cheat sheet if I have to do that. Let's see here. I used to be able to know all these stuff for dump truck and school bus and all that business, but I can't think of that right now. My brain has room for a certain amount of information. I've recently added some, so the licensing classes have dumped out of my brain. Lucky for cheat sheets. Okay. What is this? You could have been a radio announcer. Funny you should say that. And actually, tomorrow, it's a good time to segue into what we're doing tomorrow. Tomorrow, 9:30, we'll start early, and we will be going on to the Jerry Agar Show on News Talk 1010 for 30 minutes, talking to them, answering questions with their audience. We'll be live here at the same time, so you can join us anytime you like and watch, either tune in live or watch here, and then we'll get into focusing on you. At 10 o'clock. But we'll be doing an hour and a half. It's the extra large show for Wednesdays. Wednesdays are extra large. It's a special day. Special day. Let's see here. Oh, what is this? Is parallel parking still on pause with a G test in Ontario? It was previously excluded from tests. So it was a short period of time, and I don't know if that period is concluded, where they shaved off duplication. So things that were on your G2 test would be not duplicated on your G test. And I think they're still on that slimmed version. But the best people to check with are drivetest.ca. They'll be able to tell you. But here's the deal. You did it once for your G2, you'll be able to do it again for your G. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much stress. And if you don't have to do it, then you won the lottery. Buy a ticket. 649. Is it illegal for your car to resemble a police vehicle? Also, love what you're doing. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the kudos. Is it illegal to represent? So here's the problem. Depending, if you say police on it, then obviously you could be personating a police officer. That would be a problem and a charge. But if it's a Crown Vic, which isn't even a current vehicle for us, but it looks like a police car, well, it's just a Crown Vic. If it's a Ford Explorer, lots of Ford Explorers. What makes it a police vehicle is equipment and things like that. Now, two things that might happen. One, if you are putting push bars and lights in certain provinces, it is illegal, and that is not yet passed in Ontario. But you don't want to be confused with being a police officer if you're not one, because you don't have body armor and a firearm. Someone asked the question: is it illegal? Where I'm going to scroll back here. Do you need a driver's license for a scooter 49cc? Yes, you do. Scooters are still motor vehicles. It used to be that scooters and mopeds didn't require. Well, mopeds didn't require a motorcycle license. They required a driver's license, a G-Class. Now it's a low-power motorcycle license or motorcycle license to operate a motor vehicle that is a motorcycle. Now, there's a lot of people taking 49cc engines and putting them onto bicycles. But oddly enough, that's illegal. You can't do that. Those are not street legal. You cannot register them. You cannot insure them. So you cannot operate those on the road. Things you need to know. A lot of people buying those kits, they look like a good idea. They're not a good idea. What's this? Oh. Okay. Oh, funny enough, we chose the same thing. What about a car accident? One of the vehicles involved left the scene. So, first of all, we don't call them accidents because someone's responsible for something, and it's a collision. Accidents suggest that it was an oopsie-doo, and it's an oopsie-doo means somebody did something and said, oops, you do. Okay, so someone left the scene of a collision. They didn't do their required exchange of information. That's a fail to remain, and there's a serious charge called fail to remain that we would lay. So this is one of those things where dash cameras could save you. Best thing you can invest in is a dash camera. Best evidence. Here's the thing. Your interpretation of what happened in a collision may differ from what the other person did. And physical evidence may not paint a clear picture. That's why we often look for witnesses to provide statements. But guess what the best witness is? A recording, an independent, non-opinionated video. Yeah, one that just tells you what they saw by showing it to you. Okay. But yeah, we do go after people for those things. We have folks who spend a lot of time looking for fail to remain collision involved vehicles. When next to the HOV lane, can you pass within the length of the dots when dotted line is present? No, you cannot pass inside of an HOV lane. It's not a passing lane. You can't cross that line. Oh, I see what you're saying. The dotted line that's allowed. That's an unsafe practice. Whether you would, I won't say you can enter a HOV, but that would be a very abrupt passing. I would say no, you can't. Now, I'm not supported by any particular law that says thou shalt not pass in the HOV during the hash marked area where you're allowed to, enter or exit, but it's unsafe, and that's probably where it's going to go if you were seen doing it. Suggestions for dash cams, rear ones too. I was once upon a time told, don't buy a dash cam that has a rear camera, it's overkill. You know what? I wish I had a rear camera. It paints a more complete picture of the situation when you're involved in a collision. So I think that the more cameras, the merrier. Heck, those electric cars from Tesla, they have the newer ones anyway, run their cameras in 360 view all the time, and I think that's a fantastic resource for police when investigating. So the more cameras, the merrier. Is a catback exhaust legal? So catback means that it's an exhaust system that is aftermarket after the catalytic converter. That's what catback is. And yeah, you can get a legal catback system. It has to include a resonator and muffler. It has to meet the requirements under law. But it can be a freer flowing, larger, better quality, whatever modification, as long as it's done legally. And you should disclose any change you make to your vehicle. If you start, putting on an exhaust system that increases the value of your vehicle by thousands of dollars, you're going to want to let your insurance company know, or they can decline your claim, or they may find issue with the fact that you want to replace this expensive exhaust system that they never knew was part of your vehicle. Modifications are a tricky situation. Best to disclose rather than hope that they won't be upset later. And if it costs you a couple of bucks on your premiums, so be it. At least you got coverage. You are in the clear. Ryan Pinn says, in Nova Scotia, you can't have anything that resembles an active police vehicle, and that makes a lot of sense. And I was referring to Nova Scotia when we were saying that some provinces don't allow it, and I'm sure it's going to become a thing everywhere. And if you're on a bicycle, do you still have to stop at stop signs and red lights? Yes. I don't know why so many cyclists don't. When I've stopped cyclists in the past, they say, hey, it's a lot of work to stop and start. I'm like, but dying is a really bad idea. You have to stop. You're actually, under the HTA, you're required for following all the rules of the road. You can be charged just like the operator of a motor vehicle. There's only a few things you can't, like, for instance, speeding isn't the charge that we can lay against a cyclist. Distracted driving we can't lay against a cyclist because it specifically says operator of a motor vehicle. However, red lights and stop signs, they're absolutely chargeable, and I do lay those charges, or did, when I was on the road. And my best response when people tell me that's a lot of work, I'm like, well, why do you ride a bicycle? Is it because it's good exercise? And they say yes. I said, well, stopping and starting is the best exercise you can get, interval training of sorts. Is it legal to drive an American car in Canada with a G1 and have an American passenger? It's oddly that you phrased it this way. So, yes, if you are in Canada, Ontario in particular, because a G1 is only valid in Ontario, then yes, you could drive in Ontario with drive an American car with an American passenger, because if that American passenger is a equivalent of a full G, then it would meet the requirements according to a sergeant that I've had the question flown with. But my suggestion is that you shouldn't, but it's something that could be done. And I say it shouldn't because it just complicates things. If things go badly, you don't need to try and explain this. It's better off not doing it. But it does bring up the fact that a G1 is only valid in Ontario, and if you are a learner with the equivalent of a G1 from another province, it is not valid here. G1 expired and I don't have a road test booked. Can I practice on the road since it's extended to December? Yes. If your G1 expired from March 2020 or later, then yes, you're still valid until the end of December this year, 2022. But why would you? Why don't you just take your G1 again, start all over again, or apply for a test for G2? And my understanding is if you get the test before the end of the year, they will extend the learning period and essentially renew your license, which makes sense, because how would you get at least a year before you could do your full G? Anyway, take some steps, talk to drivetest.ca, make some plans. You've invested a lot of time into it. Don't lose it. If I'm on a hands-free mode on the phone, is that distracted driving? Well, I wish I had my cell phone prop when I had 3 phones here, but if I'm holding my phone on hands-free mode, is my hands free? No. So as long as you are holding your phone, you are operating or using your phone, and you are eligible for a charge under that section. If you are, however, speaking into a hands-free phone that's mounted, then that's hands-free truly, and it's okay. You're allowed to touch and swipe on your phone to answer or end a call. That is the extent of the clicking and touching of your phone while you're operating a motor vehicle, unless you're calling 911, at which point you are exempt and permitted to use your phone for that purpose. Is there any leeway given to a plate that has fallen off a trailer? Plate fell off my Sea-Doo trailer. Leeway? Leeway all the way to the ministry. So if you, as soon as you know it's gone, locate a police station and go and report it, because you're going to want to make a report instantly to document the fact that you're aware and that you're going to fix it. Now, once it's reported, you have a report number that you could say, hey, I've taken steps. But the next step would be drive directly to the Ministry of Transportation and get a new one. I don't know how much it is, but it's not that expensive. And, that's interesting. Apparently, yeah, we're not on Instagram right now. Weird. Okay. What else? That's it. Can you speak to e-bike regulations? So e-bike regulations. So if your e-bike is capable of traveling beyond 32 kilometers an hour, it is not an e-bike anymore. It's not covered under the legislation. It is a motorcycle. It requires a license, ownership, and insurance. You can't have any more than a 500-watt motor in an e-bike. And that's beyond that. You have to proper braking and so on. In Toronto, you can't be on the sidewalks. You have to wear a helmet. You have to be over the age of 16. What other kind of stuff you want to talk about? We can talk about stuff. Let's see here. It is 11:01. And with that, I'm going to sign off and start winding down. We are at 574,027 followers. If you don't already follow us, please do. And please come back tomorrow. We'll be back at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. To do, actually, no, 9:30 to 11. Thank you. That is the deal. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Last question, just because it popped up. When can you go on the highway with a motorcycle license? If you're if you're an M2, you can go on the highway. If you have a M1, you cannot. There's a couple of highways you're allowed to. Same as G1. There's restrictions, but you can't have any passengers. And that concludes Ask a Traffic Cop for the 21st of June. It's been a good one. I enjoyed today. Hope you did too. And once again, 9:30 tomorrow. And I look forward to having lots of fun with my interview with John today. So that's coming down the pipe soon. Have a great day.